Hi guys! Welcome back to our channel. For today's video, pag-uusapan natin ang mga utang ng bawat REIT. So it is common to say na ang utang ay ginagamit for company expansion, debt repayments, or even dividend distribution, no? So aalamin natin guys kung saan ba ginagamit ang mga utang na ito, as well as alin ba sa mga REITs natin ang highly debt leverage. Kung isa ka sa mga investors na may hawak na REITs, then you should watch this video out. Isa sa mga factors na tinitignan ko sa mga REITs bago bumili guys is debt or utang, because debt can be a big factor lalo na sa mga utang na magmamature during high interest rate environment. So interest expense or bonds payable or kung anumang terms na ginagamit nila sa interest ng debt, yan po ay binabawas lahat sa net income and cash flow ng REIT. So it can greatly affect sa distributable income and dividends, lalo na kapag hindi nila ito na-utilize ng maayos. Let's start by having a short overview about debt regulation dito sa mga REITs natin guys, no? According sa REIT Act of 2009, RA number 9856, Section 8, total borrowings and deferred payments of a REIT should not exceed 35% of its deposited property, no? Pero pwede itong mag-exceed up to 70% if recognized na meron silang disclosed good credit rating. So, ano po itong deposited property? Let's give an example na lang sa Citicorp REIT para mas madali nyo pong maintindihan. So, yan po ang mga included sa deposited property. Meaning, 35% lang no ang pwede nilang utangin dyan, pero pwedeng umabot ng 70% ng value ng deposited property if meron silang good credit rating. So the way I see this guys, no, this control sa debt ng mga REITs, maganda po ito sa atin as investors because kontrolado ang kanilang pwedeng utangin. And if ever they exceed or over leverage, haharangin po ito ng Securities and Exchange Commission. And they need to comply for a good credit rating. One of the convenient way para ma-check natin agad ang debt leverage ng isang REIT is tignan natin ang kanilang debt to equity ratio or tinatawag natin na DE ratio. So mas mataas na numero leads to higher risk, no? So in my own criteria guys, at least below 1 po na DE ratio ay conservative na po yan para sa akin. So ito na po ang DE ratio ng bawat REITs. Based sa data na to guys, no, majority ng REITs natin ay hindi pa po highly leveraged, wherein A-REIT, M-REIT, and P-REIT has very minimal debt, while RCR and V-REIT ay wala pa pong mga utang. So the way I see these REITs guys, no, ito yung mga REITs na merong potential debt leverage pa in the future. So we will expect na they will have more room for company expansions. Merong dalawang REITs in which sumobra sa criteria nating DE ratio of 1. So ito yung mga REITs na ma-advise ko sa inyo guys na i-check nyo talaga ng maigi. Lagi nyong tandaan, dapat alam natin kung saan nila ginagamit ang mga utang na ito, because itong mga long-term debt na ito guys can be very risky, lalo na kung tatama ito sa high interest rate environment ang maturity nito. Kaya if ever DE is above 1, check nyo lagi kung saan nila ginagamit ang mga utang na ito. In the case of Citicorp REIT guys, no, hindi ko na masyadong i-elaborate dito ang detalye ng utang nila. Gumawa na po ako ng separate vlog about dyan. Tignan nyo na lang po sa aming channel. But to give you a short idea, nag-i-income na po ang acquired assets nila sa Batangas. And yield accretive na po ang mga assets na ito. Meaning, the income of the acquired assets are exceeding the interest of the debt at sobra pa. Actually guys, not necessarily kapag mataas ang DE ratio, bad thing na agad yun, no? Kapag malakas mag-generate ng income ang isang kumpanya and more predictable to generate an income, they are most likely be able to pay its obligations. Kaya nga, katulad nitong si Citicorp REIT, ang mga acquired assets nila ay merong weighted average lease expiry of 20 years. So, the income is very predictable. So, these are the kind of details na dapat alam natin once DE ratio exceeds 1. While for the case of PhilReIT guys, actually mahirap kunan ng data itong 6 billion na debt nila because hindi pa po sila REIT. Formerly noong Cyberzone Properties Incorporated pa lang po sila ay meron na po silang utang. At noong binasa ko po ang prospectus ni PhilReIT noong IPO, the data cannot be captured kung saan nila ito pinaggamitan. So this is one of the main reasons why hindi ako nag-invest sa PhilReIT sa IPO up until now. Kasi ang nakikita ko sa kanila guys, kaya naman nilang bayaran ang interest ng bonds. In fact, sa existing income ni PhilReIT, price in na yung interest doon. But I don't see them na kaya nilang bayaran ang 6 billion na utang at nagbibigay pa sila ng more than 100% na payout ratio. So most likely, they will pay the interest for a very long time. At kapag nag-mature na ito, they will issue another bonds, utang, pambayad, utang. But I'm positive naman na if ever they make a way to improve their occupancy rates, kagaya ng nangyayari ngayon, maybe they can turn the tables right. Bottom line guys, no, actually debt is already a part of every businesses. Ang utang ay primarily used for expanding and acquiring assets that could generate an income. It can also be good for debt repayment. So one thing lang na dapat alam natin at i-consider natin sa mga highly leveraged na REITs is dapat alam natin kung saan nila ginagamit ang utang. And if ever acquired assets ang pinagamitan nito, it should at least be yield accretive. Ito yung mga assets na ang income can sustainably pay the interest of the loan at mas maganda kung sobra-sobra pa. So yun lamang po guys, no? Ikaw as investor, how do you look and assess utang of the company you invest in? Share it down below the comment section. So that's all for today guys. Thank you for watching. We will be uploading more educational videos soon. So like, share, and subscribe.